Hey, this is Alex from the Mad Guys. Today I'm going to be talking about Assassin's Creed, the movie, the video game adaptation that's supposed to break the video game adaptation curse. Assassin's Creed is directed by Justin Kurzel, stars Michael Fassbender, Marion Cotillard, Jeremy Irons, Brendan Gleeson, and is written by the guys that brought you that, and that. Should tell you where this movie's going. This movie is rated PG-13 for intense sequences of violence and action, thematic elements, and brief, strong language. It is an hour and 55 minutes, 115 minutes, and distributed by 20th Century Fox, produced by Regency Enterprises and Ubisoft, who created the games. And to give you just a brief plot summary of this movie, Callum Lynch is played by Michael Fassbender. He's a career criminal who is given the lethal injection. When he wakes up, he finds out that he is not dead, or he was dead and was revived and was captured by this company called Abstergo. Abstergo is this company that needs to access the memories of his long-dead ancestor, Aguilar, from the Spanish Inquisition to find this Apple of Eden, and in order to do that, they will hook him up to this machine called the Animus, which will use his DNA to give them these memories. And once they find this Apple of Eden, it will cleanse the world of violence. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the best they could come up with. Movie's not good. It's not going to break the video game curse. I am not going to be as harsh on it as critics have, but I am going to be harsh, because I don't think it was nearly as bad as critics are saying, but it was still bad. It made me angry. Where my interest in the series was wavering with the past couple of games, this just makes me not care anymore. I'm sorry. What didn't I like about the movie? Whew. Here we go. The movie's too short. Why do filmmakers refuse to make video game adaptations close to 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes long? Instead, they choose to make them an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Not even 2 hours. This is under 2 hours. Like I said, it's an hour and 55 minutes. And the problem is, there's 3 scenes in 1492. The flashbacks take place in the Spanish Inquisition, so it's 1492 in the Spanish Inquisition. 3 scenes where he goes into the Animus, back to the Spanish Inquisition, and an hour and 55 minute runtime. What? Now, I'm not trying to say runtime would have saved this movie, because, I mean, runtime doesn't justify whether or not a movie is good or not. Just saying, you have 9 games that you can take source material from, make the movie longer. You could add extra plot elements and give us character development that was non-existent in the movie. Speaking of characters, what characters? There's no characters in this movie. Callum Lynch is like the most boring hero ever. I could care less about Marion Cotillard's character. Ugh. Jeremy Irons, the moment you saw that he was cast, you're like, yeah, he's the villain. He's definitely the villain. Even in the Spanish Inquisition scenes, you're like, there's no characters. You just have Aguilar, who's this assassin, and you know that because he's got the hidden blade, his partner, Maria, and there's no backstory there. Huh? What? It's a movie about Assassin's Creed. Every character except for Altair in the games has backstory. The 1492 scenes, I was kind of iffy on. I was like, yeah, I mean, the action scenes, they're basically just action scenes. You know, kind of just like, oh, hey, here's a demo reel of a game that we're going to turn into a live-action movie and just throw, like, the random action scenes from the past into the movie. Basically, that's what they are. But none of it really looked that good. I mean, the parkour and the choreography, all that was cool and fine and looked really smooth. It's just the way the action scenes looked. It was like that green haze from that awful Superman game for the N64 with, like, silhouettes fighting. That's what it looked like. Not to mention, all the action scenes were weird because they were filmed in the Spanish Inquisition. Like, you saw the Spanish Inquisition stuff going down, but you saw Michael Fassbender in the present, in the Animus, like, acting out all the actions of the assassin Aguilar. So it's like when Aguilar slashes somebody with a sword, it will cut to Michael Fassbender in the present, pretending to slash somebody with a sword, even though there's nobody there. That aspect of the action scenes I did not like. The choreography, the parkour, and the stunts were all cool, just the way everything looked and the way they kept flashing back and forth between the present and the past was not cool. And it's not like it was even like a real location or a real set. It was all CGI. How many times was there that shot of the eagle flying by and it was just like above the city in the Spanish Inquisition? You're like, yeah, that's CGI. Why aren't they filming in real locations? Just a big, giant green screen, and that's what I didn't like about the Animus. I was like, the Animus in the games is like kind of like the Matrix, you know, it just, the main character really just lies down on the thing, it's connected to the computer, his DNA is uploaded to the computer so that Abstergo can authorize and access his ancestors' memories. They don't have him on this huge mechanical arm hooked up to the machine, accessing his DNA that way and having him mimic and mime all the actions and words and thoughts, probably, that his ancestor did, or I don't know, I lost my train of thought. The fact of the matter is that this movie does not take place that much in the Spanish Inquisition. No, what? Honestly, okay. I bitched about the runtime. However, the first time he goes into the Animus, if you had kept him in the Animus for the entire movie, you might have gotten away with an hour and 55-minute runtime. 80% of this movie takes place in the present. I would say about 20% takes place in the Spanish Inquisition. Since when does 80% of the Assassin's Creed games, in any of them, take place in the present? Probably about 90% of all 9 of the games, except for the first one, because I know you jump in and out after each memory sequence. But from Assassin's Creed 2 on, I would say probably 90% of those games take place in the Animus, and then 10% in the present. So why switch it? That made no sense. I mean, honestly, who wants to watch Abstergo be like, yeah, everybody knows we're Templars, so let's get this Apple of Eden, go to the Grand Templar Church in London, take out all the assassins, and cleanse humanity of violence with this Apple of Eden. The Apple of Eden thing, ugh, it's getting old. I'm sorry, this is why my interest in the series is wavering, because it's the same thing for 9 games, and now they did it in the movie. Funny, because you would think the Spanish Inquisition would focus on the Apple of Eden, but no, it's just like, oh yay, hey look, pretty action scenes. That's 2 of the scenes. 2 of the scenes in the Spanish Inquisition are just action scenes. The final one actually does involve the Apple of Eden. I'm like, you waited too long. Like, this is just a minor. You're making this the big plot of the movie when it's really presented as this minor plot element. That's the problem I have. It's just a weak story. You didn't incorporate the Apple of Eden enough. It's not there enough to make you actually care. And when it shows up, you're just like, I don't care about this thing. And why would the Apple of Eden want to cleanse humanity from violence? Isn't that the whole point of, like, the Templars and the Assassins, to, like, fight each other? This movie is predictable as hell. Like I said, from the moment he was cast, Jeremy Irons was definitely going to be the villain. He is the villain in the movie. There's a scene early on in the movie involving the main character's mother. I don't remember the main character's name. I don't care, and I'm not going to look it up because I just don't give a shit. But there's a scene involving his mother and his father, and you're like, yeah, his father did it. And then, like, and it takes them an hour later to be like, yeah, his father did it. I predicted that the final act of this movie was going to take place in the present, even before walking into this movie. I was like, they're probably going to do some bullshit, and they did, because an hour into the movie, he's going into the Animus for the third time. 7 minutes later, he's out of the Animus, and the final half hour takes place in the present. I mean, the acting, despite its star power, is really not all that top-notch. Jeremy Irons is just Jeremy Irons. He's collecting a paycheck. Marion Cotillard. I don't like her. Holy shit. It's ever since Inception. How did she win an Oscar? Oh my god, was she awful. She's bad. She's a bad actress. I am sorry. There's a lot of people out there that will say Marion Cotillard is a good actress. She sucks. I don't like her. She's not a good actress. I liked her in Public Enemies. After that, she went way downhill. Inception, she annoyed me. Dark Knight Rises was proof that she's not a good actress. I am sorry. The dialogue is pretty abysmal. I mean, you have this opening crawl in the vein of Star Wars that gives you all the exposition you need because they're too lazy to actually show you and not tell you. They tell you through text, an opening crawl in this movie, who the Templars and the Assassins are because they're too lazy to actually show you. Dumbest cliche ever in movies. One aspect, that's not dialogue, but that's just one aspect of how lazy and dumb this writing is. And here's another example of how this writing is awful, because Marion Cotillard's character is talking to Michael Fassbender in one scene, and he's like starting to flip out on her, and she's like, "Why are you so aggressive?" And he just says, "Because I'm an aggressive human being." And I hate that line in the trailer where he's like, "We work in the dark to serve the light. We are assassins." Nobody says that shit. If you're in a secret government, I don't know, facility, lair, organization. This isn't a government organization, but you know, you get the picture. Assassins wouldn't say that shit, nor would Templars. I think that just about sums up my negatives for the review. So what did I like about the movie? Well, I did like Michael Fassbender. I give the guy credit. He tried the best he could with the shit material he was given, but he did the best he could. Kudos to him. Like I said, the stunts and parkour were really cool in the Spanish Inquisition scenes. Another aspect of the Spanish Inquisition, now that I'm thinking about it, it actually makes sense when you think about it. All of those scenes that take place in the Spanish Inquisition the dialogue is in Spanish. Not that the dialogue's groundbreaking, because it's not, but I mean, I thought it was an interesting way. I was like, we haven't really seen that in a game, and all these games really take place in different time periods, and you would expect them to speak their own languages, and in this, I mean, it was cool, because it made sense, because nobody spoke English in the Spanish Inquisition. It was all Spanish, so of course it should be Spanish, and I admired that about the film. And the costume design. The costume design was really, really good. I was like, yeah, that's an assassin cloak. That's really good. The props were really good, you know, with the hidden blade effect. I was like, that looks like the hidden blade. Smoke bombs, everything from the costumes. It just looked and felt like an Assassin's Creed game with the costumes and the props. So I give them credit for that. Everything else is just blah, and it sucks because there's a really good movie in here somewhere. It's everything that takes place in the Spanish Inquisition. If they had just gotten better writers and they focused it up, this movie could have broken the video game curse, but it didn't. I think hardcore Assassin's Creed fans will find pleasure with this movie because they'll be like, it did stay true to the game. I mean, you have all the Animus stuff. He does come out of the Animus in the game. You have the past stuff. It's just for me, it was really unfocused and choppy and didn't look all that great and wasn't all that interesting. I almost fell asleep, honestly, and that was because of the present scenes. And that's really all I have to say about Assassin's Creed. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a good movie either. It's below average. It's not decent. It's not okay. It's below average, but it's not terrible. But yeah, that's very disappointing. I wish this was the one, but it won't be. I don't think any video game movie will ever be good. I do like Prince of Persia. I think it's a little bit above average, but it's not a good movie. I actually own the Prince of Persia Blu-ray, and I really enjoy watching that movie, even though it has a lot of flaws. I understand it's not a good movie, but it's entertaining and watchable. This movie sets up for a sequel that's probably never going to see the light of day, unfortunately, because they had gone the right direction. They could have a sequel. And it would be interesting, but yeah. This is further proof Hollywood should just stop with these video game movies. Fox especially, this is like their fourth one and they still haven't gotten it right. That's something. Yeah, because they don't translate well onto screen, which gives me no hope for that Uncharted movie. They'll probably screw Uncharted up as well. One thing I want to talk about. There were rumors that this movie was originally 2 hours and 20 minutes, which I thought was perfect. You could squeeze a lot in that amount of time, just not the amount of time that we actually got. Apparently Fox cut it down, and Ubisoft cut it down. If the Blu-ray comes with an extended cut that's close to that runtime, or is that runtime, or is a little bit more than that runtime, I would love to see that, because what did they cut out? They had to have cut out more of the Spanish Inquisition stuff. I mean, that stuff was pretty important, or if it's just a new vision of the movie altogether, that would be awesome. So I would really like to see that, if that comes with the Blu-ray. Because then I have a reason to actually buy the Blu-ray. If not, see you later, Blu-ray. You think of Assassin's Creed, if you saw the movie, my theater was like full, actually, surprisingly. If you saw the movie, I want your thoughts. Drop us a comment in the comment section below. And before I tell you that I left the links for the Facebook and Twitter below, I do have a little bit of a story for you guys actually revolving this movie. So I was walking into the theater, went to a 5:20 showing in downtown Boston. I went to the theater downtown. I usually go to, there's another theater in Assembly Row in Somerville, Mass. that I go to. I prefer that theater, but I went here because I wanted to see an earlier show, and the two showings that they had at Assembly Row were a little later, and I was like, I don't want to do those. So I went to this theater. This theater, outside of the actual like theater itself, not like the building, but like when you're walking into like the theater, you know, like the doors. I think I was in Theater 15, and they had, I don't know if they were people from 20th Century Fox or Ubisoft, but they were handing out surveys to people seeing Assassin's Creed. They're like, fill this out, and then at the end of the movie, they were handing them out again. They're like, if you already got one, fill out the back and give it to somebody. If you didn't get one, fill one out. So I got stuck filling one out, and I filled one out, and it asked me on the, I think it was on the backside, to rate the movie. I think it went from excellent to good to decent to fair to poor. And I said it was fair, which was above poor. I didn't want to give it a poor, because it wasn't a poor movie, but I mean it wasn't good. So I gave it fair, and then the guy looks at it, he's like, why did you give it fair? I was like, it was alright. He's like, alright? It's like, why was it alright? I was like, too much time in the past. It was putting me to sleep. He's like, it's Assassin's Creed. I'm like, yeah, this movie didn't break the video game curse. I think he got mad because I swear to God, I think he works for Ubisoft or Fox, and they were just here because they're like, the movie sucks. We know it sucks. We need to get people to actually like the movie and want a sequel. But I told him, I was like, yeah, it was okay. I mean, I'm not going to come back for another viewing, and I'm not going to waste my money again. And then I walked off into the sunset. I also left links for our Facebook page and our Twitter account. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you'll find that the title card at the end of this screen with a couple of our most recent videos and our logo, so you can subscribe and go insane with the Mad Guys.